All right. Hey there, El Paso. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on Make Music Day. Hope you guys are having a great day of creating and sharing music together. My name is Chris Serrano, and this is Chance Johnson. We're here at Genuine Reference Studios, and we're here to just talk to you a little bit about rhythm and playing the drums. So this guy right here had a great idea of an analogy to kind of tie in rhythm with everyday life. So early on, we try to figure out how to create habits, and rhythm is kind of all around us when we're at a stoplight, having a conversation with someone, even just trying to build the habit of like brushing your own teeth. You have to get used to consistency and doing something every day to get better at it. So what we've tried to figure out is how do we share that with you so that we can kind of join in rhythm together. So the analogy that we came out with is actually walking and running. So of course, people have to crawl before they can learn to walk. And you kind of have to get used to walking and having good posture before you can run. So the walking bass line is 4 consistent quarter notes. In jazz, it's usually played on the bass, on the upright bass, to keep a consistent flow of things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So most popular music is going to be in 4/4 time. So we're just counting to 4 and repeating it. But just to start, we can actually just count to 2. So I'm left-handed, so I start everything with my left hand. But if you're right-handed, basically the first beat is on the right. Your second beat is on the left. So let's start with something slow. Just give me 2 beats, 1 on the right, 2 on the left, but I want you to do it with your right hand and right foot, left hand and left foot. Cool? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, good. So if I don't even have a pair of sticks, let's say I just have a drum or a surface to play on. So if I have 2 beats and I start with my right hand and then go to my left, I'm gonna just count to 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, when you're playing on a playing surface made to be percussive, 9 out of 10 times, the surface is actually going to have more than one tone. So if you hit the middle of a drum, so why don't you give me like the middle of the floor tom? Nice. So you have this really low tone in the middle of the drum. What about if you hit the edge of the floor tom? Nice. It's a little bit higher pitch. So if you take those 2 beats and you're using your right and your left hand, you start with 1, 2, 1, 2, right, left, right, left. That mimics playing the basic beat. So why don't you give me just 2 beats. Nice. Cool. So that's just counting to 2 using our right and our left side of our body just to play those beats. So when we have an actual walking bass line, and we have 4 beats to follow, that's when we can start being a little bit musical and starting to apply counting consistently so that we have an actual groove or a beat. Playing a beat is having a tempo, which is how fast or slow we're going to be playing something, and then having our time as a way of counting each measure, which is counting to 4. So this is called the basic beat. If you listen to Michael Jackson and a lot of popular music, it's basically the fundamental of a lot of famous grooves. And all we're doing is counting to 4. Let me demonstrate. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So once we get into counting different values of notes, things can get a little bit tricky because I am playing a different value of note here. But if I'm still counting to 4 and playing the same thing on each limb, 4, what I'm doing on a drum set is actually just splitting my bass drum to the first and third beat, and my snare drum to my second and my fourth beat. So I can still play just 4 notes with this, and then separate 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's kind of like how we can start playing a beat behind the drum set. But what happens to a beat when we start having a walking bass line and we're not having the snare on 2 and 4? What kind of music does that get into?
Jazz.
Cool. So why don't you give me those same 4 quarter notes on the ride cymbal and give me 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 4, 2, 3. Cool. Nice. So that's called a walking, I guess it's a walking bass line if we incorporate the bass, which we will be. But since we're counting to 2 and to 4, these grooves can basically be done on any surface having 2 tones. So even if I use my drum, 1, 2, 1, 2. And having this kind of concept starts us off walking. So we're just walking to 2 and to 4, nothing super fast, not trying to get really technical and add a lot of notes. We're just trying to achieve getting back to 1 again. That's like the most important note where you're going to start off and where you basically want to end up. So I think we should do that one more time, and then let's get into running. So let's walk a little bit, and let's see what we can make, you and me, just going back and forth a little bit. Why don't you start us off? Give me 4 counts. Take it, man. Nice. Cool. Good job. Awesome. So the healthy heartbeat and so many things around us revolve around 60 beats per minute. There's 60 seconds in a minute. So this concept kind of helps us as a way, even if you don't have a metronome helps us to keep time. It keeps a consistent click. Even if you don't have a metronome, you can use a clock because 60 seconds equals 60 beats per minute. This is starting really slow, so it is like walking. But most popular music is actually around 120 beats per minute, which is just doubling that. So if I have a tempo like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, doubling it, we'll turn it into 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how we basically turn walking into running. So if I kept that tempo and did something called cut time or double time, where I multiply the speed by 2, we're effectively turning 60 beats per minute into 120. 2, 3, 4. So this is really helpful when we kind of want to go from walking to running, and we're comfortable with playing the basic beat. We're comfortable with a walking bass line and playing 4 consistent notes. We can kind of mix the 2 together so that we can walk and run. a really good example, man. Because like, some musicians and drummers are only comfortable with walking. Others are very comfortable with running, but may not be able to do the inverse of that. So being able to walk and run, playing a rhythm, requires keeping time and being able to kind of adjust to the style of music that you're playing. So actually, if we can get Brandon up here, maybe we can actually try to mess with a walking bass line. All right, guys, I want to welcome Mr. Brandon Bailey Johnson to the stage. He's going to help us out with a walking bass line real quick. And I'm going to let you two brothers start it out. Why don't you give them a slow walking bass line so we can hear that? So, since that's walking, what would a jog sound like? What would jogging sound like? Give me
Try running.
Nice. Cool. All right, so obviously it doesn't just apply to jazz. It's just that it's a very commonplace thing to say, like, a walking bass line. So
Yes.
what's another genre where we have this kind of walking feel?
Blues.
A blues, nice. So why don't you two take this one? Let's do like a, there you go. Cool. So, Brandon, let's give them a little double time rock. So, Chance, let me play this one, man.
Right.
Let's do a little running. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's kind of a way to see the difference between playing a slow rhythm and a fast rhythm. What's up? So it's not necessarily about how fast or how slow you're playing something. It's more just what's appropriate to the genre that you're playing. If you're playing a walking bass line, you're not going to try to add too much or get too technical. If you're playing a fast double time rock beat, it's not going to be the same thing to play a few notes or to play slower. So you guys want to play us out with a little running? Cool, guys. Hope you guys had a great Make Music Day. Please create, support the arts. I want to thank Brandon, Chance, and Shelby and all the Johnson family for being a part of today. Thank you to GRS and problem. EPIMF for having us. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you guys play us out?
You started off running.